All right, we're back again here on the Sort of Sports Podcast, episode 157. I do gotta say, I just finished filming this morning a skit. It's gonna be going on the channel. So Ryan Klinger on YouTube, my name, where I post like my skits. Got a bit more of a long form skit that I just worked on, so pretty excited about that. So be on the lookout for that if you enjoy the skit stuff. If you don't enjoy it, don't worry about it. But for those of you that do like that stuff, be on the lookout. It's gonna be a fun one. So probably going to be the start of a new series maybe. So we'll see. I'm looking forward to how that works out. We just witnessed the NBA draft. So the NBA season officially is done. We're in that period between the NFL and the NBA, which is the hardest period for me. A good friend of mine was like, I'd really appreciate if you talk more baseball. And I'm like, listen, I love watching baseball, but I personally just don't have a lot of interest in doing weekly baseball talk every week. I think if we were going to do that, the pod would have to shift into more so like my thoughts on a singular team. And there's a lot of guys out there doing good Guardians podcasts that I'm sure would be more quality than me. Or if you're like, oh, pick a different team, I'm sure that exists. So for kind of what I'm interested in doing, I don't think we're going to do it. We're going to kind of do MLB very lightly, like we already kind of do. As far as am I going to keep doing episodes weekly, looks like it, honestly. It looks like we're on pretty good pace for me to have something to talk about every week. I mean, got a friend of mine I was going to come on, do an interview with, talk a little bit about sports gambling. This guy is an animal when it comes to the sports gambling. So we're going to discuss some stuff with him. What's good about it, what's bad about it, different things about that. So that'll probably be within the next coming weeks. And then, of course, we got Superman. And Superman alone is going to give me I'm going to get 3 pods out of that. Because, maybe just 2, I guess. But I'm probably going to, no. I take it all back. I'm probably only going to get 1 podcast out of that. Because I was originally thinking I'd do one that's like the last pod before Superman. And unless that's like a joke episode where it's just me screaming in excitement for 2 minutes. And, I already have my fair share of joke episodes. I don't know if I need to do another one. But Superman, I'm obviously pumped for. But we're definitely going to do a big pod all about Superman. And it's a crazy thing. After this weekend, we're 1 weekend away. I haven't seen F1 yet. I haven't seen F1 yet, I know. That'll be soon, but probably seeing Jurassic World within the next week. Got to get both those watched before I go to Superman. So, yeah, we're getting on the hot streak of movies here. So, very excited. And you know what? Let's go into the draft, right? So, Ace Bailey is where I want to start because the draft started, right? I didn't get the top. No, I did get the top 3 right. So every draft I've mocked since I started doing the pod, I've gotten the top 3 right, except for 2022, because I thought the Magic would make the mistake of taking Jabari Smith Jr. number 1. They did not make that mistake. But, side note, could you imagine if the Rockets had Paolo now? Oh my gosh. Could you imagine? Ugh. It'd be disgusting. That would be nasty. In a good way, not nasty gross, nasty, oh damn, that'd be a good team. Yeah, that'd be, it's probably better for the league that didn't happen that way. And better for Kevin Durant, as I've said, this is kind of his last chance to get a finals champ, a ring people care about. So, all right. Did we talk about Kevin Durant on the last podcast? I feel stupid. Because we were just blowing through the pod. I don't think we discussed it. Okay. Yeah, before we do the draft, let's do this. So Kevin Durant, now part of the Houston Rockets. Liked the move for them. I thought the Spurs would go out and get him. I was wrong. And I think Kevin Durant, this is his last opportunity to get a finals people care about. If he can be the best scorer on this team and they win the finals, am I going to take them to the finals? No. But there's a chance here for them to be a 50 to 60 win team. Kevin Durant is their best scorer. And if they win the finals, Kevin Durant as their finals MVP, people are going to rewrite his career very quickly. People are going to start saying he's top 5 all time because he doesn't really have a ring people care about. He only has the 1 MVP. And I guarantee, we've seen him play. The eye test is crazy with him. We've seen him doing some incredible stuff on the basketball court. And if he has 1 championship that people care about, that's an impressive championship, that's not a part of the Warriors in super squad, people are going to be like, wow, Kevin Durant, he's going to get his flowers. This is his last opportunity. I think he knows that. So that's going to be interesting. If I did say that last podcast, I'm sorry for what it's worth. I can't remember We've been talking a lot about that trade to different people, and I can't remember what I recorded, and it was just me talking to people. But back to the actual NBA draft discussion. So, the Ace Bailey thing. I thought he was going to go 4th overall to the Hornets. I loved the pick of Con Knippel. I was a big fan. You guys know I love Con Knippel. I thought he was going to go a few picks too late. No. Teams did not talk themselves out of it. They went for him, and I went for him 4th. I was like, wow, okay. Con Knippel believers rise up. And I think it's a really nice pick for the Hornets. And are the Hornets going to build something nice out of that? Maybe. I mean, the Wizards were the one that stood out to me. I'm like, are the Wizards quietly going to build an interesting team? Because Trey Johnson, I love that pick for them. I think Trey Johnson at worst is going to be solid. I also like Will Riley, who they drafted 21st overall. So the 2 first-round picks there from the Wizards, I really liked. And I'm like, are the Wizards going to quietly stack some talent here? And then, of course, next year is an absurd draft. I've already started my research on the 2026 NBA draft. I've already got on it because, most drafts have one guy that's clearly going to be a star. For example, 2021, Cade Cunningham. 2022 was a rare year because there was 2. It was Chet and Paolo. In my mind, it felt like those 2 guys were clearly going to be stars. But even then, people would argue Chet was the only one. And oddly enough, I don't think Chet is really as good as we all thought he'd be, but whatever, right? 2023, clearly Wemby. Where it was like, there's no doubt, right? 2024 had none of those guys. 2019, clearly Zion. One could argue maybe Zion and Ja, right? 2020, one could argue maybe Anthony Edwards and LaMelo, right? 2018, I thought to me it was clear it was going to be Luka, but he went 3rd overall. And 2017, it felt like Lonzo and Markelle were like clearly both going to be stars. And it ended up being Tatum, which is just funny. But when it just comes to these guys that like feel like they're clearly going to be stars, and I can't tell you a time where they had 3 of these guys, but Darren Peterson, AJ DeBonsa, and Cameron Boozer are all 3 supposed to be incredible. If I had to put money on who's going to be the number 1 pick, I would say DeBonsa. He's the guy who's 6'9" going to BYU. I just think that's the 6'9" guy who can jump out of the gym and does everything well. To me, is the guy that teams are going to be like, yeah, that's what I want, because that build always works, right? I see themselves talking themselves out of Darren Peterson just because, yeah, he's a 6'5" guard, that's awesome, but these other 2 guys are both 4 inches taller. That's kind of what I see. Boozer, I see teams talking themselves out of him a little bit, just because it's like, can he, have that? What's the length that he can, because he's 6'9", same height as DeBonsa, but he's more post attacking the rim stuff. Can he spread his game out more? That'll be it. But what's really interesting is we've only ever had 4 freshmen win Player of the Year. It was Kevin Durant, Cooper Flagg, Zion, and Anthony Davis. All of them the number 1 pick except Kevin Durant, which to this day, I still can't understand why the Portland Trailblazers took Greg Oden over Kevin Durant. Like, it was, I cannot fathom how that happened. I understand that I was a wee little boy, and I don't even, I did not watch the 2007 NBA draft. I was not paying attention to professional sports at that time. But it is insane to me that they sat in a room, the Portland Trailblazers, the same guys who passed on Michael Jordan for a big man, and looked at the first ever freshman to win Naismith Player of the Year, and were like, but Greg Oden. Like, what? You've made this mistake. You've made this mistake before. Like, you didn't think they were in the office? They're like, you guys remember about 24 years ago when we took Sam Bowie over Michael Jordan? Could this be the same situation? And one guy went, hell no. Can't happen twice. Like, is that really what happened? Because that is what happened. It happened twice. I don't think, Kevin Durant's not Michael Jordan, but Kevin Durant, it's Kevin Durant. Like, what? It's just crazy to me. I can't believe it happened twice. It's like the Doofenshmirtz thing, right? If I had a nickel for every time that happened, I only have 2 nickels, but it's still weird it happened twice. That's how I feel. So it's so absurd to me. But anyways, it's crazy. It's just completely crazy. But we've never had a Naismith Player of the Year go back to back. Freshmen win the Naismith Player of the Year back to back. It's very rare that a freshman wins it. Before 2007, no one had. Melo did not win it. Just want to point that out because I thought he had for a while, just because I assumed, but no. We could have back-to-back because Peterson, Boozer, and DeBonsa, between the 3 of them, it's very likely. And so this is probably going to be the best draft, at least so far in my lifetime, You just look at those top guys people are going crazy about. And there's this kid going to Tennessee, I forget his name, that people are also excited for. I think his name's is it Amari something? I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm saying a lot of hype about next year's draft. I'm stoked. So if I think if I'm the Wizards and I've got a team that's kind of just got some good guys, I'm building something, I need that guy. If I just get one of the top 3 picks next year, potentially top 4, I could have that guy. So that's what's really exciting about next year's draft. I'm already doing some research on it. Very excited. But my pick to be the number 1 pick is AJ DeBonsta. I see him, if he's going to be dethroned, it'll probably be by Boozer because he's going to have the Duke push. If they're really good, maybe he's player of the year. Like, I could see Boozer being the one that takes over. Cam Boozer. Carlos Boozer's son, of course. Peterson, I just feel like is going to be in the 3 pick because he's the 6'5" guard, and teams are going to talk themselves out of him. But watch him end up being number 1 because he has like a crazy college season. It's just like absurd. But he's from Ohio, though, so that's pretty cool. Going to Kansas, for what it's worth. All right, but back to this year's draft. The Ace Bailey thing was wild because him and his agent clearly thought like Brooklyn was going to get him, or maybe like the Knicks would trade. I don't know. I'm just guessing some big market team. Probably Brooklyn. Okay, he went to Rutgers. Probably Brooklyn. It's probably what he wanted. And then the Jazz are just like, yeah, man, I don't give a fuck. Like, we're going to take you. So that was funny. And he was not happy with being a part of the Utah Jazz. And he just visited them, I think, today or yesterday. Like, he didn't come with Walter Clayton Jr. And this is bad. Like, this is already bad. And I think the thing with Bailey is he definitely has a high ceiling. And I would like to see him reach it. And I think the Jazz are a team that kind of needs to take a big swing. They're kind of stuck in a rut. I mean, I was making jokes they were just going to tank to get AJ DeBonsta. The guy went to BYU, now coming to Utah Jazz. If Bailey hits for them, awesome. We now have our franchise guy. We can build this team around. We have our star. If he is a bust, okay, well, now we're back where we were. We were bottom of the league anyway. So I think it's a great move for the Jazz. I love the idea of let's take a swing here. And Walter Clayton Jr. feels like a surefire, solid player. So this guy got one big swing and then one surefire, solid player. And so that was really fun. I like what the Jazz are doing. The Jazz, if the Bailey thing works out, the Jazz are the winners of this draft. They might actually be the winners of this draft right now, but I'm going to give it to the Wizards. I feel like you have to have 2 picks in order to, like 2 first-round picks in order for me to believe you're the winner. So I'm going to give it to the Wizards, at least for this year's draft. It's hard. Like, there's a decent amount of teams with 2 first-round picks. So, I mean, hell, the Nets had 5. And I got to say, I thought Ingor Demon was a better shooter than he was. I don't know why I thought that. I thought he was. He is not. He is not. The guy from BYU that they drafted, that is completely my bad. I thought he was a better shooter than he was. I thought Bailey was a worse shooter than he was, and I thought Demon was a better shooter than he was. So that was my mistake. Were we just going to jump over the Nets? I think we will. The Nets had 5 first-round picks, which I thought meant they were going to trade up for somebody, something to that effect. They just intended on taking 5 rookies. A third of their roster is going to be rookies. What are they doing? Here's the team. We just talked about Demon, who's taken 8th. Then they took Nolan Traore from France, 19th. Not a very good shooter either. So we got 2 facilitators who aren't good shooters. Then at 22, they took Drake Powell. And I love Drake Powell. 6'6" from UNC, we've heard that before. I mean, he's not Michael Jordan, but he is a good 3-and-D player. And he's one of those guys everybody likes to have. That's Drake Powell. And so I like that pick for them. Then 26, they took Ben Saraf, which I don't know hardly anything about. And then 27, they took Danny Wolf, who I like a lot. I really like Danny Wolf. But they took a decent amount of projects, and I'm like, you don't want to take that many projects. You get what I'm saying? Danny Wolf is a little more of like, ooh, this is fun, this is unique. You'd rather have more Drake Powells than Danny Wolfs, and they took more Danny Wolfs than Drake Powells. Does that make sense? I'm saying nonsense, but to me it makes sense. That might just be a good summation of this whole podcast, though. We'll let that simmer. So wild draft from the Nets. For their sake, I hope Drake Powell turns out to be Michael Jordan. because that was a bad draft. Bad draft. Colin Murray Boyles went ninth to the Raptors and looked not happy about it, and neither did his girlfriend who plays college basketball at South Carolina. So that was just a funny moment. Malawatch going to the Suns. So the Suns are going deep into we needed a center because they went and got Mark Williams, which I'm not in love with that move, but I love Malawatch. I think he's awesome. And so that was a good pick for them. Really like that for them. People are going nuts about the Thunder getting Thomas Sorber. We'll see. Hanson Yang's kind of become like the internet favorite. The 16th pick that went to the Blazers. That'd be fun if the Blazers got someone interesting, but I'll believe it when I see it. You know, because it's the Blazers. We just talked about their stupidity in 2007. I don't need to. What else do I want to touch upon? Well, the big thing I wanted to talk about was VJ Edgecombe. Because Edgecombe kind of became the big talking point. I don't want to say the big talking point. I take that back. Edgecombe did not become a big talking point. Edgecombe kind of became the internet's favorite draft pick. Went 3 overall to the Sixers, and I think everybody was kind of remembering Baylor Duke, and they're like, wait, that guy was good. And now there's edits of him coming up, and I mean, he's got a fun play style. Like, there's a world where he's slimmer Anthony Edwards. And if I'm a Sixers fan, if there's anybody that's like going to be the leader of this team, like if your team, if you could get it to work out where it's like Edgecombe is this 25 plus per game scorer who could just murder you from any side of the, like any part of the court, and he's a really solid defender too. And then you got Jared McCain, who's just a 3-point demon, and Tyrese Maxey, who's like basically running the offense. That's a really fun core. Yes, that core is all under 6'7", but it's still a fun core. And if I'm a Sixers fan, that's cool. You're like, why isn't Embiid part of the core? Until Embiid can show me he's going to be healthy, I can't put him in there. So that's kind of that. But I do think that's part of the reason he's getting a lot of play. He's going to wear number 77, which is fun. So I think it's really fun that Edgecombe's been getting a lot of love. And I like Edgecombe a lot. Is he my favorite prospect in the draft? No. The best prospect in the draft, I think, is Cooper Flagg, and then Harper, and then him. And then probably Bailey fourth. As much as I love Knipple, Bailey's probably better. Would I put Edgecombe up Bailey? Yeah, I think so. Part of that might be a little bit of recency bias, though, because there's a lot of Edgecombe push. Cooper Flagg. What do I have to say about Cooper Flagg, other than the fact that I think he's awesome? I don't really know if I have a ton to say. I just think, I said on the podcast last week that I think the Mavericks could very well be in the playoffs this year, and I think Cooper Flagg doesn't have to be their best player. He could just be pretty good for them, and that's crazy. Like, it's completely crazy to me that he could just be solid for them. And, if he's their third best player, that's fine. Like, if Kyrie comes back and is playing at a Kyrie level, and Anthony Davis is relatively healthy, and Cooper Flagg's their third best player, and Klay Thompson's their fourth best player, and they got Derek Lively still, Daniel Gafford, PJ Washington, and my boy Jaden Hardy. That's a good team. It's just a good team. Is that team winning 60 games? No. But we've seen Jason Kidd coach a team to the finals before. Could that team be a contender? Yeah, I actually think so. I really do. Is Cooper Flagg the best player on that team? No. But that's part of the point, right? So I'm starting to come around on it being interesting, him being in Dallas. I must admit, I'm starting to come around on it. What else did I want to touch on? Obviously excited for Harper with the Spurs, but we already talked about that. All right, really the last thing. The Pelicans traded next year's pick to get Derek Queen. And I like Derek Queen a lot. That was a stupid move. It was a stupid move. For the Pelicans' sake, I hope they are pretty good next year. Like above a bottom 5 record in the West. But let's do a little exercise. I'm going to pull up the Western Conference standings from last year. Okay? The Pelicans came in 14th. They won 21 games and lost 61 games. Okay? They were 4 games better than the worst team in the conference, the 17-win Utah Jazz, who, for what it's worth, were the worst team in the NBA. Okay? The next worst team were the Spurs, who were 13 games better than the Pelicans at 34 and 48. I want you to ask yourself something. If Wemby plays the entirety of next year and they add Dylan Harper, do you think the Spurs will be better than they were last year? Because I do. I think the Spurs are going to win 40-plus games next year and be in the playoffs. Probably as maybe a play-in team, honestly. Could be a 7, 8, 9, 10 seed, but that's where I see the Spurs next year, right? The Suns are went 36 and 46 last year, 15 games better than the Pelicans. Will they be worse than the Pelicans? I don't think so. I think will the Suns be worse than last year? Yes, I do think so. Will they be worse than the Pelicans? Probably not. I guess what I'm saying is Jeremiah Fears and Derek Queen. Okay. I like Derek Queen a lot. Fears is just going to score. We'll see if he can develop more parts of his game, become a really good scorer in the NBA. Let's see. I like Trey Murphy, but everybody says that now because everybody knows he's good now, right? Who else the Pelicans have? Herb Jones. I mean, everybody knows he's pretty good. He's not exactly, he's not a scorer, but I'm saying Herb Jones is pretty good. And then, the Zion thing's a mess, right? So, let's say for the Pelicans, well, I guess I'll do it like this, right? Here are the teams that were a play-in team, okay? The Mavericks, who will be better next year. The Kings, who could very much, and I actually think will be worse. So the Kings, all right, they'll be worse. The Grizzlies, probably going to be worse, right? And then the Warriors. No, they're not going to be any better or worse, probably the same, okay? All right, so then teams that were top 6 seed, Timberwolves, not going to be worse. Clippers, could very well be worse. Are they going to be so much worse they miss the playoffs? Probably not. Nuggets, going to be so much worse they miss playoffs? Probably not. Lakers, probably going to be better. Rockets, going to be better. Thunder, going to be the same. So, if you're the Pelicans, you are looking to leapfrog the Trailblazers, very doable. The Suns, probably doable. The Kings, probably doable. That would move you up to 11th in the West. You'd have to be better than the Grizzlies or the Spurs or the Mavericks, Warriors. Those are the teams you have to be better than in order to not have a lottery pick. That's where we're at. I don't think this is a good move trading your unprotected first. I just don't think it's a good move. I guess one could say you got to be confident in your team. There's a difference between confidence and stupidity, So that terrible move. Genius move by the Hawks. Have a lottery pick in next year's draft, which is going to be an absurdly stacked draft. So congrats to the Hawks. Originally, I went on a point about Bill Simmons, Kendrick Perkins. I think it's dumb Kendrick Perkins got mad. But then I was like, me talking about this only perpetuates how dumb I think this argument is. And so I don't really want it to be discussed further. So I just cut that whole segment. Have a great evening.